Welcome to another episode of the All Tens Podcast. I'm your co-host, Josh West. With me, as always, Clay Harris. And today, Clay, we're taking it all the way back to the EOS model. And specifically, this is one of the very critical discoveries in the early days that Gino made as he was working with entrepreneurs. And there was all of these different challenges they were having all the time. And as they sought to really trace those challenges to their roots and a way of solving it, what he found again and again was a pattern that emerged where you ultimately could find those issues rooted in a weakness in one of 6 key components in your business. And certainly the journey that we take with our clients is to strengthen each of those components. Clay, what do you got on the EOS model?
Well, you stole my thunder. I feel like Josh normally just say the first thing and then I get to give all the fun backstory, but you stole all my thunder. So what if that wraps up this? I'm just kidding. Josh, before we dive into the EOS model, first of all, I just want to say this is like episode number 60. And it feels like maybe we should have done EOS model earlier. Anyway, but here we are and we're going to do it today
as we go.
But before we do that, Josh, we have a sponsor for today's podcast. You want to tell our listeners about it?
Indeed, we do. This episode of the All Tens Podcast is powered by Stretty, the EOS software people love. With EOS Pure Tools plus additional communication and collaboration tools, you can run on EOS and accomplish all of your other daily tasks all in one place. Learn more at Stretty.com. That's STRETY.com.
Awesome. So thank you, Stretty. EOS model, you gave the backstory. Gino, all entrepreneurs hardwired to solve issues. The 5% of entrepreneurs who can strengthen each of the 6 key components tend to solve better and better issues over time. So let's just dive into it. I'll give a quick overview of the entire model. The first component is the vision component. Second component is the people component. Third component, data. Fourth component, issues. Fifth component, process. Sixth component, traction. When you put those all together, it's like a circle. For those of you who are driving, try not to visualize too hard, but it's a circle and you just go around the circle. And those are the components. So Josh, what I think we should do is maybe just kind of go back and forth around each component and talk about what it means to be 100% strong in each of the 6 key components of the EOS model. You want to kick us off with vision?
So when we work with leadership teams for the vision component that is encapsulated in the vision traction organizer, or what we typically refer to as the VTO, we answer 8 critical questions to simplify our business plan such that then we can get every single person inside of the organization on the same page with where we're going and how we're going to get there. And as you talked about, what does it mean to be 100% strong? Well, we're certainly clear on those 8 questions, and it is shared by all and everyone inside of the organization. And I always make the point of saying that it's not shared with. Yes, we can tell people things, but shared by all means that everyone's also on board with that. They've internalized it and they're ready to go, and everybody's on the same page.
So 100% strong, 8 questions on the VTO answered, shared by all.
Shared by all.
That's true, 100% strong. Cool. Second component is the people component. 2 really simple ideas there. Shout out Jim Collins on right people, right seats, right? Got to have right people. Very simply, right people are just the people who are an embodiment of your core values. Core values, FYI, first question on the VTO. But the right people for your organization are the people who are promoters, the embodiment of your core values. They show up in the world full of your core values. The second part of the people component is in the right seats, which means that we have real clarity on what the right seats are on the accountability chart. And that combination, right people sitting in the right seats, the right people for the organization, the right seats for the organization, that's the magic in the people component. We got to have both. Some people are too focused on only having right people. Some people are only focused on having the right seats. What we got to do is have both. So when you can confidently say that you have all the right people in the organization, 100% of the right people in the organization, all the seats are well defined. There's absolute clarity on what the right functions and roles are for every seat in your organization. That's 100% strong in the seat component. Both those combined is how you get to 100% strong in the people component. Right?
If you gave me one wish that I could apply to every single one of my clients right now, it would be 100% strong in the people component. Every single person within their organization's right people in the right seats. Because any weakness in any other component, if I've got that, I feel like I can take over the world.
That's right. 100%. Agree with you. What's the next one, Joshy?
It's the data component, and you and I both really love this one. And it comes down to having not 67 different things that we're looking at. We don't need to drown in data, and there's certainly plenty of it to go around. But what are the very critical measurables that really give us an absolute pulse on what's working and what's not working inside of the business, and also keeping us very honest and objective? You know, we're eschewing like our hunches or our feelings about what's happening. And as they say in football, tape don't lie. And when we look at that scorecard, the number's the number, and we've worked backward. We know what we need to achieve on a weekly basis to achieve our greater goals. And when we've got a great scorecard that we're evaluating on a weekly basis and being honest with ourselves and getting things back on track and having that opportunity to course correct 52 times throughout the year, extremely powerful. And we'll continue to migrate that discipline throughout the organization, where first we start with the leadership team having that scorecard, then as necessary, having it at department levels, eventually getting to a point where every single person inside of the organization is responsible for at least one measurable, and keeping that on track week over week, and also having a very clear understanding of how they're contributing to the overall greater good of the organization and how we're having everybody participate in us reach our goals. And 100% strong in the data component is when you've migrated that discipline that far and we get to where every single person has at least one measurable. That's 100% strong in your data component.
It's a big one. The thing that happens when you're building strength in vision, in people, in data, I think a lot of us talk about, it's like the fog lists on the organization. You know clearly where you're headed. You know whether or not you have right people in the right seats, and you know what good looks like. You can see the dashboard too. You start to have a lot of clarity, which good news is you'll see all the things that are going well in the organization. Bad news, you'll see some of the things that aren't, which brings us like right into the fourth component, which is the issues component. And two things happen here. And the first one is so simple, it sounds silly. Every time I say it, I'm like, man, this is like, but man, it's so simple. It's unmeasurably powerful, which is just the idea that when we have issues, we have a list where we write them down. Let me say that again. Every organization has issues. The first kind of tool or discipline that we talk about in the issues component is simply that you write them down. Please stop complaining at the water cooler. Please stop complaining when you go out to lunch. Please stop. I mean, you can keep talking to your spouse or partner about the issues, but you also got to write them down. So the first idea is that when we have an issue, we kind of don't run around the office with our hair on fire unless literally your hair is on fire. That's an emergency. But for 99% of the things that happen every day, we just need to write them down. Get them out of your head. Stop worrying about them. Put them on a list. The second thing that we do, the second tool or discipline in the issues component is the issues solving track. So we got them written down. Now we got to solve them. We also call that IDS. That acronym stands for Identify, Discuss, and Solve. Kind of Gino's acknowledging here and shares some story and traction about his observation is simply that leadership teams are really good at talking about stuff. We can talk and talk and talk. Like we're really good at the discussion part of IDS, where we need to build most of the strength in IDS is around identifying the issue at the root. Most of the time, the thing that shows up on the list is a symptom of an underlying issue. We got to get good at figuring out the underlying issue. So that's identify. Then when we discuss it, we just talk about how we think, what can we do next to take care of that root cause? What's the right thing to do in the next week or two? And the last thing we do is solve it. And that's the thing. We pick one. When I say that teams are really good at discussing, they're not very good at finding the root. And sometimes we have a conversation where we talked about something for 20 minutes, but then we walk away and 20 minutes later, we're like, wait, what are we doing about that? Like, we don't actually do a good job of solving. So IDS, identify it at the root, discuss it, like simply, quickly, figure out what you think we should do next, and somebody make a freaking decision on what we're actually going to do so that we take action when we're solving an issue, not just like feel good about talking about it. So those are the two things. When everybody in the organization has a list where they can write their issues down and has confidence and the opportunity and the opportunity to identify and discuss and solve those issues on a regular cadence, that's how we get to 100% strong on the issues component. Yeah?
100%, Clay. And that brings us to number 5, the process component. I find this is one that everybody needs, and they think they want to do it, and then they get into it, and then they don't like it. And then they stay faithful to it, and then they come to love it and depend on it. That's kind of the arc that I see with the process component. And here, no matter what industry you're in, there are some major processes inside of the organization. So first we go through and identify exactly what those are so that we can get them documented, simplified, and followed by all. It creates a consistency that then allows for scalability in the business. If you have 5 people within the organization and they all do the same task or the same job, but everybody's doing it in a different way, then everyone downstream of that, either within the organization or your customers, everyone's having a different experience. If I go down the street today and I order a Big Mac, and I'm in Arizona, that's 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. I can fly to Tokyo, order a Big Mac, and it's going to be the same. And that's what we're trying to get to with the process, because when we've decided the right and best way to do it, let's make sure that we're doing it that way. That saves time, that saves money. We retain clients better. Lots of benefits come from this. And also we talked about the discipline of making sure that it is followed by all, such that every single person who touches even one step in a process is all trained together. So you understand how you function within that process and with others on the team. You understand how work is going to come to you, what's expected of you, how that work leaves you. Also, in the way that we do it, it's with the 20-80 approach, where it's only 20% of the steps that get us 80% of the results. We're not trying to document every little nuance. Here again, with that people component, we've hired great people that are capable. We just need to make sure that we're getting the biggest steps done and not making silly mistakes. It's also very easy for us to make changes to it, retrain anyone, or as we hire anyone new into the organization, we don't have to hand them a 700-page SOP that they can't read or follow and that we can never update. It's very easy to understand. If I participate in that process, here are those major steps. And what 100% strong in the process component looks like is when we have all of the major processes within the organization documented, simplified, and followed by all, we're dialed in, and you can move on to other issues within the business because those major processes are no longer an issue.
Love it. I love the symmetry of the process component and the issues component being like, first, just write them down. It's just such a stark reminder that like we move so fast and as leaders, as entrepreneurs, man, if we can just get it out of our head, the issues, the processes, that's like half the battle, man. Just do that. Anyway, that brings us to our last component, the traction component. This is where we kind of bring the vision component, which is where we started, down to the ground, execute towards it with real discipline and accountability. But we got to call it traction because that's the name of the book. But anyway, the two tools here to focus on them to build strength in the traction component, the discipline and accountability component. The first one is rocks. When you're answering the 8 questions on the VTO, you're talking about the company's big 90-day priorities, the things that transform the business to help accomplish the VTO. When we talk about rocks in the traction component, we're talking about those, but we're also talking about migrating that discipline down to the rest of the company, right? Having every team member living in this 90-day world, recognizing that how their work, how their priorities for the next 90 days contribute to the company's priorities for the next 90 days, contribute to making the VTO come true. Everyone in the organization has 1, 2, maybe even 3 90-day priorities that help make the company become its future self. That discipline is partially about the priorities, but it's also partially about that 90-day world where we go and work our asses off for 89 days. And then one day out of the quarter, we lift our heads up, make sure we're all on the same page, heading in the same direction. We're all working towards, we have alignment on the goals. Work together to identify our priorities for the next 90 days. Leave that room, ready, break, everybody clap hands, give each other high fives, whatever it is, and then go work your ass off again for another 89 days, doing your job and doing your priorities. That's the 90-day world kind of discipline of rocks that we're introducing in this traction component. So no matter where I go in the organization, leadership team, frontline employees, everyone is participating in some 90-day rhythm that helps them understand their big priorities. Second part of the traction component is the meeting pulse. Some of that is encapsulated in that 90-day kind of world I just talked about, where every 90 days we get together and set priorities. The biggest chunk of meat on that bone, though, is the L10, right? The leadership team, as EOS implementers, Josh and I recommend that leadership teams get together weekly for 90 minutes. When we talk about meeting pulse and L10s for the rest of the organization, we want to migrate a discipline down, but we don't mandate 90 minutes every week for every team. We say it specifically here as meeting pulse because we need you to decide, for everyone other than the leadership team, to decide what the right meeting rhythm is for them. As long as checks the boxes of same time, same day, same agenda, starts on time, ends on time. I have one client that has a little 15-minute L10 at the beginning of every shift. I have another client that has an L10 once a month for a different team. Just up to you. Just be consistent. Anyway, so 2 tools that we have to get stronger in the traction component are rocks, those 90-day priorities, and meeting pulse, running great meetings throughout the organization. When you feel like that's happening throughout the organization, leadership team level, next level down, all the way down, meeting pulse and rocks throughout the organization, that's how you get to 100% strong in the traction component. I think that's the model. We just hit all 6 of them. Josh, you got any nuggets for our listeners?
I mean, just to round it up, for those listeners out there, if you've been listening to this podcast, you got a pretty good idea about what Clay and I do in session with clients. But the overall journey that we take is to help our clients achieve 100% strong in all 6 of those components. So as we've described them and getting to 100% strong, we have multiple tools and disciplines in our tool belt to be able to help our clients implement that, not only at the leadership team level, but throughout the organization to get to 100% strong throughout their organization. And man, when they get there, it is a different organization than when we showed up, and it is a well-oiled machine. What do you got? 100%. Take them home, Clay.
That's it, man. Just work on strengthening each of those 6 key components and just wait for it to start to feel easier. And I promise it will. Anyway, That's going to do it for today's episode. My name is Clay. His name is Josh. We're both EOS implementers, and we love helping entrepreneurs and leaders build great businesses. We're so happy that you've joined us. Shout out again to Shreddy. We're glad you're listening, but we would really love it if you would follow or subscribe on whatever the podcast platform is that you use. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye.